Hi, welcome you all to this special class on Unacademy Unlock platform. Today, as part of our special class, we will be looking at what the students should be doing, what the candidates must be doing for their prelims, the examination which will be held on the 5th of June. From today onwards till 5th of June, what they are expected to do, how should they go about their preparation is what we will be looking at. Today is 26th of March until 5th of June, what they should do. Before we start our class, as usual, let us look at the courses offered on Unacademy platform. As you can see it on the screen here, you have this Unacademy Civil Services Championship. Nowadays we have the Premier Leagues, Indian Premier League, which is starting today. So the Civil Services Championship also will be conducted tomorrow on 27th of March. What are you going to get out of this? You have certificate of participation for all the test takers. You can win scholarship and exciting rewards worth up to 15 crores. It will be on 27th of March 2022. You can see it on the screen here. You can scan the code and you can take admission. You'll be getting laptops, you'll be getting mobiles, tablets and other gifts as part of this championship. And then as you can see it on the screen here, you can reach your IAS dream with Unacademy. Why Unacademy is the most popular online education platform, especially for civil services? Because it is best in class educators. It is also best in learners ratings, 4.4 out of 5. Best in class test rating, 4.6 out of 5. More than 50,000 students have enrolled for the test series. What makes Unacademy different? You have a printed comprehensive notes, more than 20,000 questions for practice, and you also have a MCQ based crash course and one-on-one live mentorship. For all details, you can contact the number which is given below here, 858585 and 8585. Then there is another program called Unacademy Lite. This is Prelims and CSET test series. It will be targeting 2022 and 2023. As I mentioned already, 50,000 enrollments are there. Introductory price is only 3,149. Otherwise price is 6,999. It has 28 tests, 20 GS and 8 CSET. Similarly, for 12 months, it is 4,409. Price is 6,999, but you'll be getting it for 4,409. You have 50 tests, 40 GS, 32 sectional and 8 full length. And then 16 CSET, 8 plus 8. This price is inclusive of a 10% educator's code. You can take admissions in all these courses by using our code PKS10. You can take admissions in by using our code PKS10. Then you have this UPSC CSE batches, fast track and comprehensive courses starting from 23rd March. It has started for bilingual as well as English, and optional courses are also launched, including our optional course also. It was launched. Then you can get started with the 0% EMI today. You don't have to worry about the finances. You can start it with the 0% EMI today. Approved in 2 hours, minimal paperwork and flexible tenures. You can call on the number which I have given there. Then you also have a free and comprehensive interview guidance program for candidates who are giving mains. Who are giving interview now this year. Last year, more than 170 plus rankers got selected through Unacademy. You have training by exposure gap analysis. It is free for all eligible aspirants. You will have flexible schedules and mock interviews with panels. Then this experienced panel of mentors include all those senior officers who have been mentioned here. You can hear. This mock interviews will start from the first week of April. And then you have also this Unacademy store, wherein you'll get live strategy and mentorship sessions from the top educators. You also have the state-of-the-art library also. You can visit it if you are in Rajanagar. It is 30 Pusa Road near Metro Pillar 121. So this is what about all the courses that are offered on an academy platform. Let us come back and look at what we are discussing, what we should be discussing now, today. As usual, what I will do is that first I will tell you what is the strategy, and towards the end I will take up all your questions. You can type your questions here. I will see the questions through my mobile, and I will answer those questions, right? That is what we will be doing now. So let us start with these things. What is the Prelims roadmap 2022? What you should be doing, what you must be doing as far as the Prelims examination is concerned now, right? All of you will be writing, those who are watching right now, I can see so many of them are watching now. All of you will be writing Prelims this year. Today is 26th of March, and then examination is on 5th of June. So 5 days there, and 5 days here. So 5 plus 5, 10 days, and April, May, 2 months. So 70, say 60 plus 10, 70 days. Approximately you will have around 70 days to Prelims. What you should be doing for these 70 days? First and foremost, for these 70 days, you must remember that you'll be studying for at least minimum 8 to 10 hours a day. 8 to 10 hours a day. That is what minimum I am expecting. On the basis of that, this roadmap will be unveiled. Right? Let us proceed. So we are trying to find answers to these questions. You can see it on the screen. All these questions. We'll try to find answers. What should be the focus of preparation in the next 70 days? How many questions to attempt in the Prelims? How to revise the topics for Prelims? Is it necessary to attempt the practice tests offered by various coaching institutes? Right? We will try to answer all these questions. Right? Yes. So we will try to answer all these questions. Right? We will find out what should be the focus of your preparation for the next 70 days. How many questions that you have to attempt? How to revise the topics? And is it necessary? Right? So let us proceed and try to answer all the questions one by one. Again, as you can see it on the screen, first and foremost, what you have to do is observe the past trends in the UPSC Prelims. This past trends will give us an idea about what is going to happen now in this year also. What are the trends that we are talking about here? What are the past trends that we are talking about here? In the last few years, what we are witnessing is that cutoff is coming down continuously. In the year, I think 2016, 2017, that was the time when cutoff went up very high. It went up to almost 116 in Prelims, 116, 117 marks. That was the time when UPSC has asked mostly factual questions. So those who are preparing on those facts, immediately they could answer most of the questions. That was the reason why cutoff went up that year. From then onwards till last year, if you look at the trend, it is coming down drastically. It has come down to 108, 109, then 103, 102, then 99, 98, 93, like that. And this year, if you look at it, that is 2021 Prelims, we can say that the cutoff will be below 90 only. It can be 88 also. It can be 87 or 88 also. It can be below 90 only. So the trend that we can observe here is that cutoff is coming down. It is coming down. So let us take the cutoff to be around, say, 90 marks. To be around 90 marks. That means out of 100 questions, you have to get only, out of 100 questions, you have to get only what we call 45 net questions right and nothing else. right? See, what I am trying to say here is that this examination may not be, prelims examination may not be as difficult as we might think also. That is the reason why, first and foremost, I would like you to take this idea out of your mind that it is very, very difficult. You can never approach any examination with that kind of negative mindset. After all, at the end of the day, you have to get only 45 questions right. Right? You have to get only 45 questions right. If you go to the examination with this conviction that I have to get only 40 questions right, then automatically you will get them also. On the other hand, if you think that it is very difficult examination, so many people will be there, lakhs of people will be there, never go to the examination with that kind of mindset. And on top of it, as I said, the cutoff is coming down. You can see that the cutoff is coming down from 2017, 16, 17 onwards continuously, and it has not, it has not increased at all in the it has not increased at all in the last few years. This is what the important trend that we can observe. Next trend that we can observe is that a number of questions are coming from mostly unconventional areas. For example, before last year, there were a good number of questions from agriculture. You don't expect so many questions from agriculture. The government wanted to celebrate, farmers' days. That is the reason why they are asking good number of questions from agriculture. And the best part of it is that even the farmers cannot answer any questions related to agriculture. That also you have to remember. Right? So questions are coming from mostly unconventional areas, from agriculture, and from areas like science and technology, from very deep areas of history, even history also. Before last year, good number of questions were asked from medieval history. Normally, what people do is that they try to ignore medieval history. But UPSC realized that people are preparing for this examination in a one particular manner. They are not putting any kind of effort. People are. That is the reason why. What UPSC has done is that it is mostly asking the questions from unconventional areas. So that is the reason why you have to make sure that your preparation is also a little bit more away from conventional aspects. This is the next important trend that you can observe in terms of your preparation for this examination. Next, right? Then come to the next page here. You can see it on the screen. In spite of all these uncertain developments, there are some areas which are given importance by UPSC. That is what you have to. That means there is always silver lining. Otherwise, in the dark horizon, there is always silver lining. In spite of the fact that the questions are becoming unconventional, they are asked from mostly those areas which are not touched by the students as part of their preparation. In spite of all these things, what you can see is that we will see that there are certain areas which are given always importance by UPSC. As you can see it here again, what on the screen that you have here, the fifth point. It is believed that the 2021 cutoff is around 90 marks. It can be below 90 marks also. Right? So, what is the point that we are making here? The point we are making here is that it is only about 45 questions. You are not thinking about 100 questions. It is about 45 questions. For example, as you can see it on the screen here again, in 2021 prelims, if you look at the number of questions from polity and economy, combined together you have around 30 questions. If you include governance and other things, it will be around 32 questions. So out of 100 questions, around 32 questions are asked from polity and economy. Even if you take the worst instances also, worst case scenario also, you will have at least minimum 25 questions from polity and economy. Right? You will have minimum 25 questions from polity and economy. That 1/4 of the questions. And the best part of it is that the success rate can be very high also in these questions. That means once you attempt the question, You will also know whether the answer is right or not. Unlike in other, unlike in other aspects, you will also know whether the answer is right or not. This is very, very important because your success rate should be maximum, especially with the negative marking. Your rate of answering the questions right should be maximum. That is what we have to remember here. So coming back here, coming to the strategy for this year 2022, right? This is very important. Coming to the strategy here for 2022, what are we saying here? What we are saying here is that if you look at the 100 questions that UPSC is asking in prelims, if you look at the 100 questions, first and foremost, remove this thought from your mind that you have to prepare for all 100 questions. Please remember, if you think about preparing for all 100 questions, you will not be attempting even 40 questions also, because you simply don't have that kind of caliber, and you simply also don't have that kind of knowledge to prepare for all 100 questions. And more importantly, it is not at all required also. More importantly, it is not at all required also. Right? So then what is the solution? As I said, the solution lies in identifying your areas of strength and your areas of weakness. Let us do the things in a more scientific manner. So you have, in your prelims examination, questions are asked from various topics. What are they? Polity, economy, history, geography and ecology, environment, science and technology, then the international relations and other current events. And nowadays questions are asked from governance also. These are all the 7 topics from which the questions will be asked. Right? Depending on your area of comfort, depending on your area of comfort, what you have to do is identify those areas which are where you can score very high marks. You have to identify those areas where you can score marks. For example, you are a student from science background, then you can be a little bit more comfortable with geography and environment, right? Then you can focus on those things. Your option is history, then you can give a little bit more importance to history. Otherwise, what should be your strategy? How you are going to proceed with those things? That is what let us try to look at it. As you can see it on the screen here, again we go by the previous year trends only. As I said, polity and economy. When I say polity, I'm including governance also. These are government schemes, for the schemes of the government. This polity and economy will have around at least 32 questions. And the first strategy is that from now onwards, you must focus on both polity and economy. And your objective, this has to be very, very clear also for you. Your objective should be that strike rate here. That is what we say, strike rates. Strike rate should be at least 85 to 90%. That means if you are attempting around 10 questions, between 8 to 9 questions you have to get right. So if you are attempting 30 questions from polity and economy, you have to get at least 24 to 27 questions right. That is, on an average, let us say 25 questions you get to get it right. Please remember here, if you are getting these 25 questions right, going by the cutoff for this year, you have to get only 20 more questions right. Got it? You have to get only 20 more questions right, because 45 is the cutoff, 90 marks is the cutoff. I am telling you how easy this examination can be, provided you prepare for this examination in a more scientific manner, right? So this is what you have to do. As you can see it on the screen here, for the next 70 days, the focus should be on completing polity and economy from prelims point of view. Your focus should be on completing this polity and economy. Because as I said, out of 45 questions that you are expected to get right, 25 you are looking only from polity, economy and this governance schemes. When I say polity and economy, I am including current polity, current economy also. That means I am including the current affairs related to polity and economy, not the concepts, not only the concepts, but also the current events related to polity and economy. That is what I am saying here. Right? As I said, let us be a little bit more pragmatic. Let us not be too much ambitious. So if they are asking around 32 questions, let us say that around 22 questions you have to get it right. Not more than that. Right? That is what that should be your inner strategy. That should be your inner focus. Then the next thing that we are asking here is to get those 23 questions right. What should we do? To get those questions right, what should we do? What should be the strategy here? To get those questions right, what should be the strategy here? Let us see what is the strategy here. First and foremost, for polity, whether you like it or not, you don't have to go beyond this Lakshmikant Indian polity. In the last few years, some of the statements were directly taken from Lakshmikant only. Right? So don't unnecessarily complicate your life by reading too many things. Read only one book more number of times. Read only one book more number of times. Let us assume that they are asking around 14-15 questions from polity. Let us assume, right? They are asking around 14-15 questions. Again, you can divide from what are the areas where these questions are asked. First, they will start with the constitutional developments. From 1773 onwards, the first regulating act. Then till 1947, be completely thorough with all these constitutional developments. Everything about 1990 Government of India Act, 1935 Government of India Act, 1947 Indian Independence Act, and then Indian Councils Act 1892, Minto-Malay reforms, and then before that, this 1853, regulating act, and before that 1833, 1813, 1793. After every 20 years, British Parliament has passed these regulating acts. 1858. So please make sure that you are thorough with all these regulating acts. You are thorough with all of them, so that if the questions, at least please remember, 2 to 3 questions are asked from these constitutional developments. If you say that it is part of history, I don't mind. You can call it as part of history. If you say that it is part of polity, still it is part of a prelims only. So it does not really matter if you study it as part of history or polity, but what you can do is that Lakshmikant has given all these constitutional developments in a point format, and make sure that you are thorough with all these constitutional developments. Because 3 questions, if you include history also, 4 questions will be asked from this. You don't want to lose out marks, because this is where easy pickings for you. Just study them and you will get these questions right. After reading all these topics, what you have to do is that you have to evaluate yourself. Evaluation becomes very important, right? How do you evaluate yourself? This is where we come to the next thing, that is should you be doing all those test series or not? You don't have to worry about doing all the test series. In the market you have hundreds of test series offered by so many people, so many coaching institutes with the best of intentions. Shubham, that is what I am saying. Don't worry about what is not mentioned there. At the end of the day, you are only answering 45 questions right. So don't think about those things which you cannot do. If UPSC asks directly from the regulating act of 1813, it takes the regulating act of 1813 and asks directly from the 1813 regulating act. Is it possible for you to answer? It is not possible. What can you do? You read the question, start smiling, then start crying and leave the question and go to the next question. Start smiling and then start crying. Right? That is what. Akash, unfortunately this class is only in English. Right? It is not English also. You have to put up with this. Right? When I take maybe other class on Hindi, then we can do it, right? So you have to put up with this. So coming back here, that is the reason why what I am saying here is that read only from one source and read it thoroughly. Don't leave anything. And once you have read all these things, then go to past 30 years of UPSC question papers of polity. Take from 1992 onwards till 2021, 30 years. Right? From 1992 till 2021. And look at the questions that were asked from this constitutional developments. Right? See how many questions can you answer. Yes, Priyadarshini, 30 years. 30 years. Because as all of us know, history will not change. Unfortunately, history will not change. So take 30 years. And what you will see, please remember, this is very important. What you will see is that UPSC will be repeating the questions. Right? What will you see is that UPSC will be repeating the questions. Right? UPSC, even including last year, let me tell you, including last year also, has repeated the questions from previous years, especially in polity. Right? That is what you have to remember. So, why do you want to lose out? Why do you want to lose out? Please don't think that the UPSC UPSC question setters will be working as hard as you people in terms of preparing the question paper. Right? Right. So that is the reason why you have to remember that if at all you are practicing, first and foremost you are practicing UPSC question papers for past 30 years. After practicing all UPSC question papers of the past 30 years, again practice one more time. If you still have time, practice one more time and nothing else. Right? And nothing else. Similarly, what you have to do is that you have to repeat the same exercise for all topics in polity. You can start with the preamble, go to fundamental rights, then direct to principles of state policy, then president, parliament, then go to union state relations, then in between cover judiciary, then go to constitutional bodies, then statutory bodies, financial administration, budgets, local self-governments. These are all the major topics in your polity. Right? These are all the topics. So we have around 12 major topics in polity. And every day from tomorrow onwards, or why tomorrow to today onwards, every day give at least 4 to 5 hours to complete one topic. Right? At least 4 to 5 hours to complete one topic, because as I said, this is the most important thing, part of your preparation. You don't want to lose out on polity questions. Every day give at least 3 to 4 hours to complete one topic. In 12 days, you are completing all polity topics. And after that, as I said, every day you are covering the questions also from past years, for the past 30 years. And make sure that in all the 30 years questions that you are answering from UPSC, you have to make sure that you are getting at least 85 to 90% success rate. Your success rate should be at least 85 to 90%. This is what you have to remember. And consistently it should be 85 to 90%. This is where you can go to the examination with conviction that in the coming 2022 examination also your success rate will be 85 to 90%. Now, one more thing that you are remembering here is that you are not only covering the concepts, you are looking at current events related to polity also. For example, constitutional developments, there are no current events because that's part of history only, right? But preamble onwards, fundamental rights, directive principles of state policy, president, prime minister, parliament, judiciary, then constitutional bodies, state governments, then local self-governments, center-state relations, governor, Article 356. So whenever you are reading all these topics, what you have to remember is that they are covering the current events related to those topics also. That is how you have to cover the concepts along with current events. Very, very important. That is how you have to cover the concepts along with the current events. Please make sure that you are not reading. Please make sure that you are not reading current events separately. You are not at all reading current events separately. That is what you have to remember. The moment you try to read current events separately, you will never be able to remember. For example, fundamental rights. Take in the last 1 year or so, any of the Supreme Court judgments related to fundamental rights. Any of the legislations in the parliament related to fundamental rights. That is what I am saying, Indra, right now. Any of the Supreme Court judgments related to Article 356 or that of governor, right, in the last 1 year or so, right? For example, Puttaswamy case, right to privacy, which is part of fundamental rights, right? Like this, in the last 1 year, you must be having so many current affairs material also. You'll be having so much of current affairs material also with you. Take that current affairs material and identify from that current affairs material related to polity. If it is related to fundamental rights, related to polity, fundamental rights current events, so that it becomes easier for you to remember. It becomes easier for you to remember. As part of this, another thing that you have to remember is that you have to remember all the important legislations also, including the laws that are passed by the parliament. For example, Supreme Court has struck down this Cooperative Societies Act, which was passed by the parliament, right? It comes as part of what we call center-state relations. Supreme Court has struck down by this Cooperative Societies Act by saying that proper procedure was not followed. This is what we study in constitutional amendments, type 1, type 2 and type 3, right? Immediately you should link it to the type 3 amendment there, wherein for an item in the state list, it requires the consent of more than 50% of the state legislative assemblies. And Supreme Court has said that it was not followed. Central government has argued that it is not part of item in the state list. Supreme Court has said that it is part of item in the state list, so you cannot, unilaterally legislate on those items. Right? That is what I say, linking it to current affairs. Linking it to current affairs. Right? Yeah, draft bills, Shubham. These draft legislations are asked by UPSC only in extraordinary circumstances. If I remember, in polity, the draft legislation was asked in the last 30 years, maybe once, I think, not more than that. Not more than that. I don't think that they have asked it for more than once. So, you don't have to worry. You think about those legislations which have already been passed by the parliament. Don't think that, I don't think that they will be asking draft bills. right? Yeah, you can skip it. So that is what you have to remember. Center-state relations, again you have to remember here. In a center-state financial relations, so nowadays if it has become controversial, right? So what are the relevant articles? Then in a passing of budgets, again yesterday you must have seen, the in Hindu Indian Express newspaper there was an article about the State Election Commission of Delhi State Assembly, Delhi State, Delhi Union Territory. So these are all the things that they are asking, because they'll take the current affairs and ask questions related to the concept from those current affairs. They will say that which among the following are true about the state election commissions. They say that the state election commissions have the authority to conduct elections to parliament and as well as state legislative assemblies. Second, they will say that state election commissions have the authority to conduct elections to only local bodies. That is, both the rural local self governments as well as urban local self governments. Then they will give, as part of the answer, only one is true, two is true, or both of them are right, neither of them are right. This is how the questions are asked. And this is what I say current affairs, because it has become controversial recently. Please remember in the Delhi, because the Delhi State Election Commission was about to announce elections to the local bodies in Delhi. Delhi has three urban local self governments. Delhi has three local bodies. And suddenly, the government of India had asked the election commission to postpone the announcement. And the government had come out with this announcement that they are merging the three urban local bodies of Delhi. Right? So then immediately the questions can be asked from this topic. Immediately the questions can be asked from this topic. Why? Because it is there in the news. And they will ask the questions, as I said, related to the constitutional aspects here. Constitutional aspects here. And this is what you have to remember here. This is how the questions will be asked. I just gave you one example here. Right? This is how the questions will be asked. So, you take around 15 days and every day take around 3 to 4 hours. And in those 15 days, make sure that you are very, very comfortable with the polity. Right? Very, very comfortable with polity for 3 to 4 hours. And as I said, at the end of the day, you are making sure that you are confident of securing 80 to 90% questions right. This is what you have to do. If you have any questions about polity, you can ask, so that I can move on to the next topic, that is economy. If you have any questions from polity, you can ask. As I said, make sure that whenever you are reading the topics, always link it to current affairs, fundamental rights. Look at any Supreme Court judgments in the last 1 year regarding fundamental rights. For example, you have this hijab controversy is there. Hijab controversy is there. And then it is related to fundamental rights. It is related to fundamental rights. Aman, still it is only afternoon. Evening means you have to wait for another 6-7 hours. Right? I don't think I will be taking class continuously for the next 6-7 hours. So it is only good afternoon. Right? So coming back here, you don't have to remember all the amendments. Right? Indira, you don't have to remember all the amendments. You have to remember only those amendments which are in the news in the last 1 year. You have to remember only those amendments which are there in the news in the last 1 year. Right? That is what you have to remember. Not all of them. You have more than 100 amendments. You cannot remember all of them. It is impossible. That's what I always say. Never try to do those things wherein, never try to do those things wherein your capabilities are limited. Right? And I think in Lakshmikant also, they have given important amendments towards the end. Lakshmikant had given important amendments. Look at those things only and nothing else. Right? And more importantly, whenever you are reading a particular topic, for example, you are reading about governor. The recent controversies related to governors in, say, Bengal or Tamil Nadu, or Tamil Nadu governor has returned, he rejected the bill related to these NEET examination. So they will ask which among the following are true about the discretionary powers of governor in terms of the bills passed by the state legislature. Because this question is related to Tamil Nadu governor's actions recently. Right? That is the reason why I say look at the current events and go through the concepts from the polity, from the constitution. This is how you have to prepare. What we call it as a reverse engineering. And that is what UPSC is also doing in the examination. What they are doing is that they are taking those current events and they are asking the questions related to the concepts from those current events. And this is, if you can perfect this art of looking at the current events and relating it to the concepts, you will get maximum number of questions right also. Right? This is what you have to do for polity. This is what you have to do for polity. Right? Any other questions? I can move on to the next topics. Other topics? Any other questions about constitution and polity? Yes, Nilesh, I will come to governance little bit later. First, now we are looking at constitution and polity. I will come to governance little bit later. Right? Yes, if polity is over, let us move on to economy then. Right? Let us move on to economy. As I said, UPSC is asking around 12 to 15 questions from economy. They are asking around 12 to 15 questions from economy, which is also very, very important for us. This is where your success rate, strike rate should be again 90%. What you should be doing for economy? Again, I am giving around 15 days for economy. Around 15 days for economy. I am giving. And what are the things that you have to read? What is the primary source material here for economy? As you can see it on the screen here, you have economic survey, you have budget, and you have important chapters from Indian economy, Mishra and Puri. And of course, nowadays they are asking some concept from macroeconomics also. So what I would suggest is that class 11th NCRT, you can go through some topics like GDP, estimation of GDP, then accounting, calculation of GDP, then things like demand, supply, aggregate demand, aggregate supply, markets, equilibrium, prices. These are all the things they are asking. So what I would expect you is that you just have to go through some of those concepts. Please remember, the concepts are not at all difficult. That is what you have to remember. The kind of questions they are asking from the concepts are not at all difficult. So you don't have to worry at all. That is what you have to read. Economic survey, budget, and important chapters from Indian economy by Mishra and Puri. Right? That is what I am saying, Varsha. Whether it is microeconomics or macroeconomics, they are not asking any difficult questions. Even last year question they have asked from microeconomics. Please remember, Varsha, was repeated from previous years. It was a question that was repeated from previous years. That is why I said if you are doing previous year's questions, you will be covering an entire syllabus. Right? That is what I am saying, Varsha. Even if you are not from economics background, you can answer those questions. Very simple question they are asking. Last year question they have asked was mostly, the was mostly what is called asked from basic microeconomics. It was mostly what is common sense. The question was about inferior goods. The question was about inferior goods. That is the reason why I am saying that look at the basic aspects in both micro and macroeconomics. It is there in the class 11th NCRTs. It is there, and you can easily understand it. Yes, Indira, first you have to do the government documents, then come to any other study material. Please remember, UPSC does not refer to any coaching institute study material. UPSC always looks at UPSC always looks at primary sources, that is government documents, and also most authentic textbooks. As I said, Mishra and Puri are NCRTs, right? You can refer to any other study material, provided you are thorough with the government sources first. That is what you have to remember. You must be thorough with government sources first, then you can refer to other sources. So, for economics, as I said, in the next 15 days or so, what you are doing is you are covering all these topics: economic survey, budget, important chapters from Indian economy, Mishra and Puri, and some topics, one or two topics from microeconomics and macroeconomics. Again, the same strategy you have to follow. For example, you are studying about GDP, calculation of national income. You have different approaches, product method, income method, expenditure method. Nowadays, the government is calculating GDP through GVA, gross value added. Right? You have to be very clear with all these concepts. And then, once you cover all these concepts, the next important thing that you have to do is go back to UPSC questions. Look at UPSC questions from these topics and try to do the questions. Except the current affairs, all the conceptual questions you must be able to get them right. Current affairs means one particular question was related to the current affairs of that particular year, current event of that particular year. Forget about that question. You don't have to get that question right. Otherwise, all conceptual questions are what you have to get right. All these conceptual questions, you have to get them right. As I said, when it comes to getting those questions right, again, I am saying the success rate should be 90%. Success rate again should be 90% here. Please remember, in economics, let me tell you also the areas from where the questions are asked from economics. I said around 12-13 questions. 2-3 years back, they have asked around 20 questions also from economy. So what are the areas where the questions are asked? The questions are asked from first this GDP, per capita income, and all kinds of indices. Poverty, multidimensional poverty, all kinds of indices. So this is first one. Then good number of questions are asked from agriculture. Very good number of questions are asked from agriculture. Then questions are asked from industry. Then questions are asked from employment. Then most questions are asked from fiscal and monetary policies. Every year, at least 4 to 5 questions are asked from only fiscal and monetary policies. Then good number of questions are asked from inflation. Different indices to calculate inflation, wholesale price index, consumer price index, right? And then the questions are asked from external trade, balance of payments. Even last year also the question was asked. Questions are asked from foreign exchange. And then the questions are also asked from banking. So these are all the areas. What you have to do as usual, like what you have done for polity, every day take one topic. Today take say GDP. Make sure that all your concepts related to GDP are very much clear. GDP at factor cost, GDP at market price, then NNP, then NDP, then national income, then per capita income, then disposable income. You name it, all of them you must be very much clear. All of them, you should be very clear. And once then calculation of GDP, right? Base year. Why the base year was changed up to 2012? Again, the government is planning to change the base year. What is the impact of changing the base year? Right? So all these things you have to be very much clear. Once you are clear, as usual, go back to last 30 years of UPSC question papers, because concepts will be the same. Concepts will be the same, and you must make sure that you are getting answers right. Similarly, fiscal policy and monetary policy. Take the case of fiscal policy and monetary policy. As I said, a good number of questions are asked from this fiscal and monetary policies. The questions are asked from taxation, expenditure policies, tax policies. The questions are asked from this monetary policy, various monetary policy initiatives. The questions can be asked from monetary policy committees. So be thorough with all of them. As usual, and again go back. In the last 30 years or so, you can have at least 50-60 questions that are asked from this fiscal and monetary policies, more than that also. And if you are answering those 60 questions, you must be getting at least 50 questions right. 90% success rate. Then I will say that your preparation is moving in the right direction. In the same manner, you have to do with all other topics, agriculture. Please remember, this agriculture is there in economics as well as in geography, economic geography. So don't worry about whether it is part of economics or geography. Only thing is that you must get the answer right. That is the reason why I say that please go through economic survey agriculture chapter and also India yearbook agriculture chapter for all these things. Right? This is what you have to do for economy. Then as I mentioned, economic survey. Be thorough with economic survey. You have to be very thorough with economic survey. Very important. You cannot really take economic surveys lightly. Yes, Indira, next month I will be taking up. In fact, I will be starting from 1st of April onwards only. I will be doing economic survey and budget. As I said, I will take up each and every chapter of economic survey as part of both the special classes and YouTube classes, and I will be doing them. Because when the questions are coming, it is foolish on our part not to do all those questions. Right? And that is what you have to do. Again, as I said, at the end of the day, what is our objective? What is our objective when it comes to economic survey and budget as well as whole of preparation of Indian economy? Our objective is that we must be getting 80 to 90% of questions right. Last year, they have asked some questions which are, which I would say are very far-fetched. To put it in a simple language, some idiotic questions were asked. You cannot do much about those things. As I said, at the end of the day, you are not answering all 100 questions. You cannot do much of about the kind of question they have asked from economy last year. They have asked some of mostly unknown facts which nobody can ever know. You don't have to worry. You can leave all those questions. You don't have to worry. So this is what you have to do for both polity and economy, right? And so in 15 days, in 15 days, you have to complete both polity and economy. On an average, you are reading 7 hours per day. On an average, you are reading 7 to 8 hours per day. And when I say polity and economy, I am including current events related to both polity and economy also. All the current events. And you have to be very rigid with this schedule. You cannot be flexible. You cannot say that I will take 10 more days. I will do it later. No, you cannot be doing those kind of things. Right? You have to be very rigid. You cannot compromise with your you cannot compromise with your schedules. That is very important. Once in 15 days, if you are completing both polity and economy, that means you are completing 1/3 of the prelims question paper, right? Around 30 to 33 questions, 1/3. and you are getting at least 20 to 23 questions right. So you have to get another 20 to 23 questions right in the next say in the remaining 70 questions or so, remaining 65-70 questions or so. You have to get only 20 to 25 questions right. Let us say 25 questions, which should not be difficult at all. This is what I say. This is how you have to remove this uncertainty related to the prelims examination. Right? This is how you have to remove. Then, as you can see it on the screen here, for good or bad, as I said, practice only UPSC questions from the last 30 years. Only practice UPSC questions from the last 30 years. Don't unnecessarily do most of the test series questions, as they are not relevant from examination point of view. They are not relevant from examination point of view. If you happen to see the test series offered by innumerable number of coaching institutes, unfortunately, they ask extremely difficult questions, which are not at all relevant from examination point of view. For example, they take article 18 and they include if or end there, and they change the article by including if and end, and they will say which among the following is true. And you cannot answer that kind of questions. Simply, you cannot answer those kind of questions. And what happens here? If you are not able to answer those kind of questions, what is the immediate consequence? The immediate consequence is that you will unnecessarily lose confidence in you. You start thinking that my preparation is not right. And you start looking at your rank. You start looking at your rank in the test series, and you start thinking that I am completely way off my preparation. And there will be a lot more stress. There will be a lot more tension. And you will get into that vicious cycle again of stress, tension, and more tension and more stress. Right? And then ultimately, when you go to the UPSC examination, you will not be in a position to give your best also. That is the reason why, as I said, for good or bad, don't do most of those test series. If at all you want, you can do one test series, nothing else. But you are doing them only after completing all UPSC questions from previous years. After completing all questions from previous years. That is what you have to remember. Right? And after getting the confidence that you will be scoring 90% of the questions right from those UPSC questions from both polity and economy. And this should be completed, let us say, in 20 days time. That means tomorrow you are starting, that is 27th of March. And then in 20 days, that means by around 15th of April, you must be having confidence in yourself to say that yes, 1/3 of questions in UPSC examination I am confident. I am confident of getting at least 23 questions right. Right? That means from the examination point of view, 50% of your preparation is over, because you have to get only 45 questions right at the end of the day. So by April 15th, 50% of your preparation will be over. Right? That is what, and that is how you have to think. Then what about the rest of the topics, whether it is history, geography, ecology, then environment, science and technology, international relations, current events? What about all these topics? That I think we can see it tomorrow class. We can see it in tomorrow's class. Right? Tomorrow we will look at the rest of the topics and how to go about their preparation in tomorrow's class. If you still have any doubts, you can ask. I can take 1 more minute extra, and if you have any doubts, you can ask. Nilesh, GS3 paper discussion. This year means I don't think I have not taken. I don't think I have taken this year's GS3 paper discussion. I have not taken. I will take it, but again the problem is that Nilesh, this is the prelims time. Nobody will be interested in mains answers. So let me for the next 2 months only focus on prelims. Right? After that, I will take up the mains paper discussion. For these 2 months, let me take only on prelims. Tomorrow at the same time 11:30 we will meet and we will try to complete rest of the topics. Right? Tomorrow 11:30. Same thing. Right. Till then, take care of yourself.